Assalamu alaikum. Jama'iyah, should you consider it? This is a common community-based savings scheme, and I'm noticing it popping up a lot in conversations with people, and considering how common it is, I want to ask that fundamental question. Is it worth considering? What are the benefits of it, the risks? What are some alternatives that we can look at as well? So let's break that down in this video, inshallah. Firstly, what is it? Well, it's basically a community-based savings scheme, all right? It's known as different things to different communities. In the Arabic community, it's known as Jama'iyah. Please excuse the horrible Arabic pronunciation. In Turkish, it's known as Teyze, altin, gunu. Also in the Somalian community, it's known as Ayuto, and the list keeps going, okay? But fundamentally, what it comes down to is where a group of people are pulling their money together and they're all making the same regular contributions into that pool of money. And then what will happen is they're gonna take turns withdrawing the money from that pool, okay? And then basically that cycle keeps going. So to explain that a little bit further, let's take an example situation here. So let's say we've got 12 different participants, A to M, and they're all making monthly contributions of $1,000 each per month, okay? So basically, as you'll be able to see here, let's say each one makes that $1,000 contribution. If there's 12 of them, that adds up to $12,000. And then they're all gonna take turns withdrawing that pool of money. So in that first month, in January, participant A is the lucky one. They put in $1,000. And then in that same month, after the money's all pulled together as that $12,000, they get to withdraw that as well. And then for the remaining basically 12 months after that, they will continue to add 1,000 per month, 1,000 per month, 1,000 per month. And then eventually come January again in the following year, they're gonna be able to withdraw that 12,000 as well. So that's how it would work for participant A, and then obviously just keeps going. They all take those turns. So participant B, they put in 1,000 in the first month, then 1,000 in the second month, and they get to withdraw $12,000, which is cool. And this keeps going on, and then lucky last participant M, they're the 12th one in line, and they've put in $12,000 over 12 months, and then they get that $12,000 back. Eventually, everyone puts in $12,000 and they take $12,000 out. It's basically which position in the line are you. If you're in front of the others, it can be beneficial, but if you're the last in line, it's gonna be pretty much the same as a savings account, which we'll go into. So as far as the benefits, I think the bigger one is going to be the quicker access to the funds. If you are first in line, like I've mentioned, or earlier in that line, it's going to be quicker. For example, that first participant, they're putting in 1,000 and getting $12,000 back. If they were going to save themselves, it's going to take 12 months, whereas you can sort of, jump the queue and do it through this particular way. The other thing too is the accountability. When you've got 12 people coming together, and you are all putting 1,000 per month each, having that group accountability can make you be more consistent with the savings, which is good. Also, there's that whole community-based spirit behind it, so everyone's supporting one another. And then what will generally be happening is they're literally just having the money either in physical cash or in the bank account, and it's not earning any interest. So from an Islamic standpoint, that's going to be better, obviously, to avoid interest. I do have reservations about keeping money literally in cash as well, but it's probably going to be a conversation for another day. So what are the drawbacks of Jama'iyah? Now, the biggest drawback that I can see, really there's two really big ones here. The first one is the money is not invested, okay? It is generally just sitting in cash. And as I've mentioned time and time again, it doesn't make sense to have money in cash where inflation is just taking its toll on that. Your money is effectively it's going backwards without investing it, okay? So that's the big consideration there. And I'm gonna compare it to investing, and we're gonna see that difference as well, inshallah. Secondly, there is no regulation behind this, okay? This is under the table. If there are any disputes, if there's any, conflicts, if there's any fraud, if there's any issues with the administrator as well, like whoever's running that scheme, let's say if there's a default where one of the members, doesn't put in the money, there's a lot of different scenarios here where the fact that because it's not regulated, there can be issues. And if issues do pop up, how do you resolve that? without any legal support as well. So this is a big risk, okay? It's a huge risk. You're putting your trust with someone who has probably no qualification, very little to no qualification. There's no licensing behind it. So it's that aspect alone is very risky, and it brings alarm bells as well. So that's a huge one there. Also, there's limited flexibility with this as well. As far as being able to access one of these schemes, typically you have to have very close friends and family. It's really based on trust, and generally, it's something that I personally would really rethink before jumping into it. So, what are the alternatives? There's a couple here. There's obviously many, but I'm just touching on three here. The first is simply just saving the money in the bank account yourself. That can be a good option. It really can, particularly for that short-term savings goal. The second option is going to be halal investments, which we'll break down a bit further, and that's going to be more towards that longer-term wealth creation. And then maybe something more regulated as well, like a regulated savings circle. Just something where you have that security and transparency, which is really what's lacking with Jama'iyah. Now let's take a savings account. This one's very straightforward, right? Let's just say I'm saving myself. I'm putting 1,000 per month into the bank account, and then come 12 months time, it's a big surprise, I've got $12,000 there. I access it. It's very straightforward, right? The issue with it, of course, is that we don't have that growth. So let's say if I was doing that over 10 years, I would have basically $120,000 after 10 years time. Okay, it's 12,000 a year over 10 years. So yes, it's good in the sense where it's flexible. It's my money, it's your money. You get access to it if you need it. It's private as well. You're not dependent on other people. It's secure. By having the money in the bank account, you get the government guarantee of funds up to $250,000 here in Australia. And you can have it interest-free. They're literally bank accounts where you can switch off the interest, and they're bank accounts where it's free of charges as well. So that's a benefit there. As far as the drawbacks of it, again, the same lack of growth as well, because the money is not earning anything. We obviously can't earn interest in Islam. So the money's effectively going backwards with inflation. There's also the lack of accountability too here. So if I am doing it myself, I don't have that whole community support like I would with Jama'iyah. So there is likely a higher risk that I might tap into that funds, or I might miss a particular month in savings as well. So the other thing too is I don't get access to that earlier lump sum like I would have with Jama'iyah, particularly with the earlier participants, where they got access to the pool of funds earlier, and that's actually more than what they saved initially. And the other thing too is the fact that realistically, by having money in a traditional bank, one way or another, you are facilitating riba to a certain extent, but the alternative to that is just simply having the money in cash as well. Again, I would advise against that, but just something to consider. Let's take a halal investment plan. Now, to give a bit of context, obviously we provide halal investment services here at Pure Wealth, and we're typically investing in the stock market, property, gold, you name it, basically, where we're investing in that typically through the stock market as well. And you get access to the money very quickly within a couple of business days. We're obviously getting all halal certified, etc. Okay, so assuming you have your money in a portfolio like that, a diversified share portfolio, basically what would be happening is, let's say if you put that 1,000 per month, okay, in that investment account, the difference is that money is then invested for you, okay? So let's say if you're assuming, let's just say if you're earning 8% per annum on average over a longer period of time, we can see here that the money is going to grow as well. You're going to have the money working for you. Now, in the short term, it doesn't really mean much. In the first month, you might get $7 in returns, and then eventually it adds up over 1 year, close to $457 as an example, okay? So you started with $1,000, you saved it consistently, which is $12,000, but you also had that earnings, so that adds up to $12,457. So this is good in the sense where the money is working for you. Now, over a long period of time, which is generally what I would more likely recommend for a longer period of, say, at least 5 to 7 years, You can see here that the dark blue line is the regular money that you're putting in, which is $120,000. But the light blue line is the money falling into your lap. That's the money working for you. And that's an additional close to $63,000. So bringing the total to $182,946. Again, super rough numbers, but the point is you have more money because it's invested and working for you, which is something that it's lacking from saving it yourself or with this Jama'iyah, the savings scheme. So benefits, it's a no-brainer. You know, you're gonna have that long-term wealth creation, which you are lacking from the other options. Again, we're getting it all Halal certified for our clients as well. So it's a really good Sharia compliant option. It's those compounding benefits where you're earning on top of your earnings, and eventually over time, it goes up exponentially, which is so powerful. And of course, you know, we can avoid interest through these investments too. Drawbacks, the biggest one is that I would not recommend this for a time frame less than 5 to 7 years, okay? You can access the money if you wanted to earlier, absolutely. But really, you want to have the money working for you over a longer period of time. There's a bit of expertise required when it comes to this. Yes, there are simpler options out there. The only issue with halal investing is that there's a limited menu out there on the stock market. So again, this is where we come into play as well. It's our specialty. We focus only on Sharia compliant investments at Pure Wealth, and we're here to make it easier for you, so you don't have to worry about you know, the headaches of investing. On top of that, going through all the Sharia screening processes as well. So we handle all that. There can be some costs associated with it too, and there can be some tax implications. Whenever you're earning money, the ATO typically want their clip as well. Could be worse, obviously, could be earning nothing or going backwards, of course, but that is another consideration. So, conclusion, should you consider Jama'iyah, yes or no? Me personally, I wouldn't do it, okay? There's too many risks involved with it. It is not regulated. I don't feel comfortable with it. I am, like I said, having conversations with people, and I don't see the value of it, to be quite honest. Yes, it's a good way of avoiding interest, and you know, there's some benefits to it, but I personally wouldn't do it, okay? If I had a time frame of, say, 12 months, I'd just have the money in a bank account. That way it's nice and secure in that sense, and I'm not putting my trust in someone else's hands, okay? If I had a time frame of, say, you know, 1 to 3, 4 years, I'd be looking at, you know, a lower risk Sharia compliant investment that gives a relatively steady return. Obviously, we can't have fixed returns because that's riba. And then if I've got a time frame of about 5+ years, I'd be, you know, hands down halal investment account all the way. So that's my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. If I've missed anything, obviously I haven't participated in these schemes before, so let me know your thoughts on it, and looking forward to hearing from you guys. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.